Shazam!
Yeah.
That was weird.
Ugh, I feel like I was smoking there for a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Not in a good way.
Yeah. Anyways.
What's going on, guys? We're the Cinefanatics. My name is Chris Adams.
And I'm Robert Adams.
And we are here today for a review of Captain Marvel.
No, we're not going to do that joke. Everyone else is doing that joke. It's been run into the ground.
Okay, fine. We're here for a review of Shazam.
That's not what it's called. You know the proper name of this movie.
Might have just said it also.
Possibly.
Oh, well. I was quoting the movie. That's fine. Yeah, let's get into this. So, this movie was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was. The storyline, let's say, well, first of all, right off the bat, there's no spoilers in this review. Don't worry about spoilers. You're fine to continue watching this throughout the entirety of this video.
We're not going to tell you that he magically turns into Superman himself.
Wait, what?
What?
I missed that part.
Oh, you were asleep.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. That didn't happen.
I work late. It's okay. So, the story of this, I mean, granted, this is another origin movie, which, I mean, bringing this character to, like, a nowadays setting, you have to do the origin story.
Yeah, let people know who they're watching and why he is the way he is.
Yeah, the problem with that, though, is it being an origin story, it is very formulaic. I mean, we've got person, hero, big fight with the villain at the end.
Good guy, bad guy.
I mean, it's very...
I gotta learn how to become the hero I'm supposed to be, kind of a thing.
It's very basic. The thing I like about this is it's coming... And this is more attributed to the character itself. Mm-hmm. It's coming from the fact that the character is actually a kid.
Yeah.
Who is all of a sudden an adult superhero that has to figure out how to be a superhero, an adult superhero, in line with, say, the rest of the Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
And that dynamic, it makes it amazing.
Yeah, and I thought that was just an all-around great new experience to have in a superhero movie. I mean, we haven't seen yet a kid actually being a superhero, so to speak.
You've seen, like the idea behind Spider-Man is the fact that Spider-Man is supposed to be a teenager having to deal with these powers, but for the most part, he stays himself.
Yeah.
This is someone now who's a kid who now is an adult physically having to be a superhero.
So you're having an aspect of this that's kind of akin to, say, Big with Tom Hanks.
Yes.
Where not only am I having to find out what it's like to be an adult, I also have to find out what it's like to be a superhero, both at the same time, in a way. And that's one of the things that I was really interested going into this, because if you watch the trailers, you see Asher Angel, who plays Billy Batson as the kid, acting super serious. He's going from foster home to foster home. Life isn't going his way a whole lot, and he's just kind of like gritty and tough to it all.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Zachary Levi as Shazam, who, again, watching the trailers, super goofy, really super elevated and heightened in I'm portraying a kid, essentially.
In an adult body.
And so what I was worried about going into this is there going to be too much of a separation between those two that I won't necessarily believe that they're the same person? And while I think some people might have that issue, I really didn't. I actually, as the movie, right at the beginning, maybe a little bit, but as the movie kind of went on, I actually started believing it. I bought that they were both the same person, especially as you got to see Asher, or you got to see Billy Batson kind of break out of his shell a little bit later on in the film.
Yeah, and so what made that interesting is the fact that Billy Batson is an orphan who's basically he's spending all of his time trying to find his mom who supposedly abandoned him. Yeah. And so it's very sad, it's very dark, it's very depressing. It's a very realistic adult type of emotion that he's having to deal with.
Yeah.
But then he becomes the superhero, and it's like all of a sudden that is completely shut off, and now it's a kid who's an adult having to deal with, well, how do I be an adult? I mean, I used to be a little kid, now I'm this big, hulking, muscle-bound, type of adult character, and it's kind of interesting how they play off of that.
Yeah.
So the fact that, like, even though Zachary Levi is essentially playing the same character, it's nice that it breaks away that, like, once Billy Batson becomes Shazam, that it is a break in his character.
Yeah.
And he's no longer this moody kid looking for his mom. He's now all of a sudden a kid trying to figure out how to be a superhero. And I think that played very well.
Priorities have changed at that point. I now have to figure out this thing instead of what I was thinking about. This has become more important.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do if you become a superhero all of a sudden from being a kid? You know, that's kind of the journey he's experiencing in the movie. I think there's a lot in this story that I actually liked. There's a few things. So the few issues I did have with it, it's not a perfect movie for me. There's a few like scripting issues. There were things that were done they tried to do that kind of took me out of it. I think a lot of it has foundation in comics somewhere. But because I wasn't used to the rules of this world yet, you know, what does magic mean within this world, within this environment? What does it lead to? What can happen? There were certain scenes that happened where things were going on that I was like, that kind of took me out of it a little bit, just because I wasn't established in how everything works. But that aside, I think even still, the movie is a ton of fun. It didn't completely take me away from the entirety of the movie, just in those small moments.
Yeah, and the thing I really liked about it was the depth that they went into specifically with this movie. A lot of the other DCEU movies that they've been doing so far, the extended universe, some of them have made mention of like Easter eggs and stuff. This one like dived head first. This one, I mean, I hate to say it, this one went Marvel on their DC property. They went all out on these Easter eggs. There's stuff that if you're not familiar with Captain Marvel, you'll completely miss it.
I was not familiar with Captain Marvel, Shazam, anything in the past. All I knew is the basics of what I needed to know about the character to go into the movie.
See, I was familiar with the Captain Marvel Shazam before the New 52, which DC Comics released in 2011. I was not familiar with how exactly they were portraying the character in the New 52, but from what it seems like, researching it, reading our YouTube comments to our trailer reactions to Shazam, this seems to be following along the lines of the New 52. And I like that idea. All the other places you've seen Shazam, he's been an adult. He's already had that mindset that I'm a kid, now I'm an adult, time to act like an adult and be an adult mindset about my superheroing words. And that in this one, he's still a kid having to deal with that. And that's what the New 52 Shazam was about, and that was great in this. A part of that is all the Easter eggs that they did share.
Yes.
There's a lot of Easter eggs both to the New 52 Shazam and the older Shazam Captain Marvel that we've known ever since it was first started back in Fawcett Comics.
Yeah, there was like some name drops and some other stuff here and there just really tucked in the background that I didn't catch. But you did because you were familiar with it.
Yeah, and I had quite a few chuckling moments in there. Not only just like Captain Marvel Shazam related, there was a lot in there that was just DC related. That it had to do with the DC characters, the DC world as a whole. And I thought that was really well done, how they added those in.
Yeah, it is. As far as other things, like, if we're going to go, like, well done. As far as other things, like, the acting in this movie, first of all, the Foster family, both the parents and all the rest of the kids, everyone did a phenomenal job. They took those roles. I know from what I've seen in the comics, they all looked pretty close to how they look in the actual comics themselves. So that I thought that was pretty cool. But as far as the acting for the family goes, fantastic. The only other one I want to mention is Mark Strong. And it tears me apart because here we have Mark Strong as a villain in DC, and he's not playing Sinestro again. The only good part about Green Lantern.
And easily one of his best roles, too, was playing Sinestro in the Green Lantern movie.
Was perfect casting for that.
I mean, when they got to the end of Green Lantern, spoiler for Green Lantern, but I'm pretty sure you don't care. When he puts on the yellow ring at the end and becomes the yellow Sinestro, it was awesome. That was easily the best part of that entire movie.
It was awesome. But here we have him portraying Dr. Zavanna. I'm hoping I'm saying his name right.
Yes.
He took what I feel like would have otherwise been considered a one-note villain and actually made him 2 notes. Mm-hmm. No, not so many notes, but at least 2 notes.
Yeah, especially the character in the comic books is very much your stereotypical bald, white suit, mad scientist character. They did step it up a bit, but still kind of keeping to that aspect.
Man, I'm gonna get ya.
Yeah, pretty much.
The thing with Mark Strong, like I said, he's 2 notes. He's not like some of the villains we've seen in other comic movies, like a Loki or a Thanos. And I promise, hold on, before you get too worked up, you can like both Marvel and DC. It's okay to like both of them. It's fine. But the level of depth is not as strong as maybe some of these other villains that we've seen from other properties before.
Mm-hmm. It was very well done on his part. Mm-hmm. They made him menacing enough, but still kind of kept that mad scientist kind of idea mentality to him. I want to see him go in a supervillain off with Ben Mendelsohn. I mean, these 2 guys are just well versed in playing supervillains or bad guys in general. Yeah. I want to see that movie.
Yeah. So I mean, you have a strong cast all the way around. You have a decently strong story. A couple scripting issues here, but otherwise it's a ton of fun. A lot of references to things here or there, including movies we may or may not have mentioned at all during the entirety of this review. Mm-hmm. But overall, I liked it. What did you think overall?
I think overall, if I was to put a rating on this, I would say out of 5, I would actually probably rate this about 4 lightning bolts. There was aspects of this, I agree, that were just kind of flatline, not quite up to par as what I would expect.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was still good. I look forward to watching this movie again. So, yeah, 4 lightning bolts out of 5.
I also would have to agree. The thing about this is, for me, is that it's getting really interesting how I'm rating these movies, because 4 out of 5 lightning bolts sounds good for this one. But what's going to be a 5 lightning bolt is we still have Avengers coming this year. And again, you can like both properties. You can like Marvel and DC. Are you sure? Fine.
Are you sure you can like both?
Totally fine. It's awesome. You can like both. I swear it's fine.
Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. What did you think of Shazam? Did you see it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let's talk about it down in the comments. If you liked this video, make sure you hit like. If you didn't like this video... Anyways, above us, there's a button that you can click to subscribe to this video. Over here off to the side, there's a couple other videos you can watch if you like our content. And as always,
for Asgard.
Later.
See ya. It's about time they made a Chuck movie, although this was an interesting way to take the story.